Hi, I'm Peter Simpson, and I've had overall responsibility for Ascom platform releases for the last 10 years. Today, I'd like to talk to you about our exciting new Conform universal application. The Ascom interfaces lie at the heart of what Ascom provides. These are technical contracts so that clients can be sure of what operations can be carried out and devices can be sure about exactly what information and what operations they need to carry out. Clearly, to be effective, both clients and devices need to use this same single universal language. So as developers, how do we know when we've delivered on the contract? That's a question which we all have to answer at some point. Unit tests are great, all sorts of internal testing is good, but it's also helpful to have an external standard against which we can test the products that we create. This is where Conform came in. Conform is a comprehensive test application. It exercises every type of Ascom device. Every single interface feature is tested, including the happy and unhappy paths through the interface, and it is robust and designed to be used in a development environment where applications, for example, may be only partially functional. This is what Conform for Windows looked like. Has been this way for quite a long time. It's a Windows Forms-based application, but there's no way that, like this, it could be ported to make it run natively on Linux, macOS, or anything other than Windows. So what we've done is to introduce our Conform Universal application, which runs natively on macOS, Linux, ARM and Windows. It is a Blazor server application, so it uses an executable running natively in the operating system and uses a browser to provide the user interface back to that application. Conform Universal has feature parity with the original Conform. It can test Windows COM devices as well as Alpaca devices. Clearly on Linux and ARM there are no COM devices, so that functionality is disabled on those platforms. But when running on Windows, it can test COM as well as Alpaca devices. It also has a built-in native Alpaca client that enables it to see the Alpaca transactions and check on whether the rules around JSON casing, for example, are being obeyed by devices. It also has an Alpaca discovery built in, so there's no need for choosers with this particular application. Now, I'm going to demonstrate ConformU later on in this presentation, and this is the very basic test network that I have set up. 2 Raspberry Pis, 1 Pi 4 64-bit running ConformU, and a second Pi 3B 32-bit running the Alpaca simulators. This is the Conform Universal user interface. As you can see at the moment, at the top of the screen, no particular device has been selected, so the first operation has to be to select a device using the tabs on the left-hand side. Conform Universal has automatically gone out and discovered Alpaca devices on the network and has found by default telescope devices, so it has found the Alpaca telescope simulator that is running on the Pi 3B. If we wish to change that, we just simply select a new device type and it will automatically rediscover. If we had been running on Windows rather than the Pi 4 that ConformU is running on at the moment, we would also see a COM tab on here, and this would allow us to select COM-based drivers and to test those as opposed to native Alpaca devices. So at this point we will have selected a device and would be able to test it using the button on the home screen. For anyone who is, has got familiarity with the Windows version of Conform, you'll find the settings on here very familiar. They may look different, but all of the functionality is here on these tabs. In addition, there is an Alpaca tab, which enables you to configure discovery on, or not to have discovery on at all if you prefer, and to configure some of the Alpaca specific features, such as the image array transfer mechanic. So As I say, this should be fairly familiar functionally to you if you've already used Conform. So let's go back and select a device and run the test. So I'm going to select filter wheel on there. So we've now selected the Alpaca filter wheel simulator. We can just click on that. It is now selected in the status bar at the top, and we can go back to the home screen ready to test. Now I'm just going to bring up the image of the filter wheel simulator onto the presentation as well, so that we can see that changing as Conform runs through its test. So clicking on the start button now, you can see it's reading a lot of information first off, as it does. It's just got all the filter wheel names, and now it's moving to each filter wheel position in turn, making sure it can get there and that it is stable when it does. And as you can see, the simulator is showing some activity as the test progresses. So at this point, we've now successfully tested the filter wheel simulator. Conform Universal has a couple of additional features that are not in the Windows version of Conform. The first of these is the Alpaca Discovery Map, and what that does is to give you a visual presentation of all of the Alpaca devices that it can discover on your network. In this case, you can see the one Alpaca device with its list of Ascom devices that it's supporting. It provides all of the Ascom device types. The available Ascom devices is a representation of that data, which is ordered by unique ID, which will help if you happen to be running in a multi-homed network environment. It helps you determine what's going on there. The other additional feature is the device setup page, and what this does is provide us with access to the HTTP pages on your Alpaca device. In this case, the simulator, and we just go back again to the Conform Universal. We can click the device setup page this time, and gives you details about that specific filter wheel. So those are the primary features of the demonstration. Thank you very much.